microphone back there, or if anybody wants to come up front, use the podium. Your choice.
Good morning, my name is Bruce Fealk. First, I want to commend Recount. I don't do this often to Republic, but I really do want to commend Ruth this morning for bringing the issue that we're here to address to the attention of the Election Assistance Commission and to the public. Elections matter in America, and the accurate counting of votes has been an issue of great importance to our democracy, especially since the 2000 presidential election. But calling attention to the problem without proposing solutions is like yelling fire, but not calling the fire department to put it out. As we've seen since 2000, there have been efforts to improve elections in America. However, those efforts have fallen far short of what the citizenry should expect, both in terms of fairness and accuracy. We have seen numerous incidents across the country where touchscreen voting machines have flipped votes from one candidate to another. Our voting system in Michigan is not immune. It's also prone to hacking and cheating. We must be ever vigilant to make sure that the results of our elections are accurate. Here in Michigan, we did make a good decision to use optical scanners and paper ballots marked by voters and not touchscreen voting machines with so-called paper trails or no trail at all. The best reason for all of having paper ballots marked by voters is that those ballots can be recounted. However, merely running ballots through what may be poorly maintained machines, calling that a recount, is a misnomer. As Ruth Johnson points out in her letter to the EAC, our voting machines are not being maintained properly due to the fact that doing so may void the manufacturer's warranty. As a result, machines in several communities which tested for accuracy prior to the November 4 election failed those tests. Not only that, but if these machines did not fail on election day, or did fail on election day, there would be no way for election workers to know that there were even problems with the machines. In Oakland County, there were four close races, 2 countywide races, 1 for drain commissioner and 1 for clerk. I don't know. And 2 county commissioner races that were decided by 128 votes. The clerk's race was decided by 5,700 votes and the drain commissioner by 2,074 votes. Given the problems that have been brought to light by Ruth Johnson, I brought forth a resolution that was presented to the General Government Committee, which calls for the county, if requested, to pay for a hand-counted county-wide recount. I'm asking today for the Commission to bring forth my resolution for discussion and a vote, since the time is upon the candidates that wish to ask for a recount to make their request. Some will say this is too costly, and that in these times of economic hardship, it's just too high a price to pay, especially if a recount is unlikely to change the result of the election. I say to those people that elections and a right to vote are at the very core of our democratic principles, and that if we can afford to spend $10 billion in Iraq in a month, if we can afford to bail out our banking institutions, we can surely find a way to pay for hand recounts of the ballots that will not only assure voters that the right people have been placed in office, but will also serve to assure voters that our voting system is fair and accurate. As some Republicans like to say when referring to waging war, freedom wasn't free. Freedom isn't free. Sometimes it costs $230,000. I would also like to implore our county commission to back the random hand count audit legislative proposal being put forth by the Michigan Election Reform Alliance, so that voters in the state of Michigan and Oakland County can rest easy knowing that everything possible is being done to ensure the accuracy of our future elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our list for public comment, Mr. Mike Smith.
My name is Mike Smith. I live in Clawson. I just have a brief comment to make. I say, Florida in 2000 and Ohio in 2004. Is this the legacy we want to leave our children and grandchildren? Is winning at any cost, by any method, the way to preserve our democracy? I would rather lose honorably than win by deception or incompetence, or an abdication of my most precious constitutional right, the right to vote, and that vote is counted. Partisan is not in question, but election integrity is. If we can triumph the inked thumb of the Iraqi people, then we can do no less than ensure our vote is accurate. The accuracy of the voting machines in Oakland County have honestly been called into question. This body politic must, in the interest of voting integrity, authorize a hand recount of those questionable races. Thank you.
Thank you. Karl Striebel.
Thank you. It's Karl Striebel. That's all right.
Sorry.
My name is Karl Striebel. I'm from Rochester Hills. And Commissioners, I'm here to support the resolution presented by Mr. Fealk this morning and on others in regards to the hand counting of those elections that have been contested or in future elections going forward. Ruth Johnson's letter should have been an eye-opener in regard to those problems in not cleaning or maintaining our voting machines. I would not be against even a small county fee charged to update and maintain our voting machines. Our leaders of the county say that we are the high-tech county in the state and the leader of all counties in Michigan, if not America. How can we advertise that when we have sludge problems on our voting machines? You, as commissioners, are voted into power by us, the electors. I have served in the military, and as a veteran, one of the reasons that I served was to preserve our rights to vote in a free election. My question to you is, how can you, as elected officials, not respond to those charges and problems about our faulty voting machines? Especially when your own county clerk has indicated that there are problems. I urge you to act quickly and to listen to your constituents. Fix the problem, do your job, do the right thing, and hurt no one. Thank you very much.
Further public comment, Mr. Johnny Ashcraft.
I wrote it right, Johnny.
I'd like to clarify that it's John Ashcraft.
Ashcraft, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's not the first time that's happened. Just a couple of points. I'd like to speak also in support of the resolution for a vote recount and say that, you know, there's been, in the broader context of discussion as to whether there's been tampering with votes in other places, but I don't think that that's necessarily what's been indicated in any way here, and so I'd like to try to separate those two things in my own mind and suggest that there may be a flaw in the process as I understand it. And I'm given great confidence by the fact that Clerk Johnson would raise this issue publicly and transparently. I think that's a great indication of her taking seriously the obligation she has to keep the elections free and fair. I think it also indicates that the matter is a bipartisan matter. I don't think that there's any basis for thinking that Republicans would want to have flawed elections and Democrats would want to have, you know, sound ones or vice versa. And so I believe that everybody here has a desire to see the system preserved. But there has been this broader evidence of problems outside of just Oakland County, and now we have this evidence of failure that's occurred with the system here. And so I think we have an obligation to look into it, because the very concept of democracy is that you, our elected representatives, have only the power that derives from this process. And so if the confidence that we have as voters is shaken, I would submit that your right to lead and govern is also diminished to the degree that that's happened. And so we have an issue of system integrity which is in question, and we need to do two things. We need to validate, one, the accuracy of the recent elections and the vote totals, but we also need to validate the soundness of our system. And I think the principle that we have a secret ballot but a transparent process is the one that is in question here. And so I would ask you to please validate for those of us who have voted for you and who are entrusting governance over us to you. I'd ask you to help us to gain the confidence that we need that the people that we've actually voted for are the ones once we're doing that, and that in the future, as we vote, our votes are going to be accurately counted. Thank you.
Further public comment, Debbie Goldberg.
I'm Deborah Goldberg, and I'm from Farmington, Michigan. And I was really pleased to see Ruth's letter in the newspaper before the election, and that sort of put us on guard to watch for what might happen and might not. So it made us aware that we should be looking to see if anything unusual happened in our elections. After the election, there was a comment on the radio by our city clerk, actually not mine, but next door neighbor's one. Kathy Dornan made a comment that she felt that where there may be dust in the machines, that there also was a problem with how the ballots were printed. Now, I'm not sure what that means, but since then I've done some investigation and found that there can be different, if we try to match two matchable systems, one would have an improper thickness and another one would have an improper grain, and I know nothing about that, but I think that it's really important that we go and do the hand count as asked for in Bruce's letter and his resolution, and that we find out exactly where our system is. And then I guess there are people in various areas that have reason to believe that there may have been other kinds of errors that took place in their election process. So I would like us to prove our process, because God only knows we'll probably be electing on this since it costs so much for a number of years. And two, I think we should make sure that however we're going to do this recount, and whatever way we're going to pick to do it and where we're going to do it, etc., that it should be done a hand count, because I still believe a hand count is the only true way to know exactly what the vote was.
Next on our list is Jan Bendor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I am Jan Bendor. I am the statewide coordinator for the Michigan Election Reform Alliance, and I live in Washtenaw County, and I'm also an accredited election administrator. And I'm here to urge the Oakland County Commission and the Board of Canvassers to take an historic opportunity to do what no one in Michigan has so far done: restore voter confidence in the integrity and accuracy of our elections. The county canvass of the November 4th election for Oakland has confirmed that there are 4 very close races where the candidates are separated by a percentage point or less. The margin of difference in these vote totals between the major party candidates in these contests is less than the error rate, the known error rate, of the vote counting tabulators that were used. Edison Matofsky, which is a professional exit polling organization, and which has provided the only available objective measure of the error rates of optical scan tabulators, has assigned a rate of, at best, 2.5%. So you're looking at a difference in 4 races of 1% that could be accounted and overridden by the normal error rate of these very inaccurate machines. Oakland County has the opportunity to establish with full confidence who actually won these close elections. Only by conducting a systematic hand count of marked paper ballots can we know the true accuracy of the scanned tabulators, which are basically insecure 1970s era electronic technology. They're vulnerable to conditions of temperature, dust, moisture, paper thickness, type of marker ink, ballot layout, and many other factors. If we were in Minnesota right now, we'd be a lot more cold, but we'd also have no nagging question of whether our machines are accurate. The Minnesota legislature has enacted a law that mandates a statewide, statistically based post-election hand count audit conducted by officials and citizens working together in the interest of the public trust. Right now, Minnesotans are compiling the results of their audit samples, which preceded and will inform the mandatory 100% hand count triggered by the close margin in the Minnesota contest for U.S. Senate, which we're all watching with great interest. 13 states now have provisions for audits, with standards for escalating to full recounts. Members of our Michigan Election Reform Alliance have been working since 2004 to close the gaps in election security in Michigan. We applaud Oakland County Clerk Ruth Johnson, who is one of the only election officials in the state who has consistently spoken out for accuracy in vote counting, and who has given the public full and transparent information about the failures of election equipment. Every jurisdiction in Michigan faces the same problem: how to verify the accuracy of elections counted inside a black box, an optical scan tabulator. In 2004, the state rushed to buy thousands of these machines with federal money under master contracts for purchasing with no guarantees of security or accuracy and no maintenance warranty. As these machines age, we must expect malfunctions. As technology advances, we must also guard against hacking by remote and other means. As a nonpartisan organization, MIRA has proposed detailed legislation to require statistically based hand count audits of all Michigan elections. We hope to see this legislation moved forward in the new term in Lansing. Bold leadership by the Oakland Commission and canvassers right now to demonstrate the effectiveness of hand counts in resolving these foreclosed contests will help to lend momentum to the restoration of election integrity for all of Michigan. I urge this board not only to support the resolution for a hand count of all precincts, but also to ask the Board of Canvassers to conduct a full investigation of what has occurred with the condition of the machines. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on our list, Kenny Van Horn.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'd like to start by congratulating all you folks that won your elections out there. And I was elected 30 years in the plant as a plant representative, and I learned after a certain period of time the best way to come to work is with your best angel and not your worst trait, because you get a lot more done that way, and I encourage you folks to do that. I'm here today. I'm also the chairman of the Waterford Democratic Club, and I'm a UAW member and a retiree after 39.8 years. And I know that you folks don't have a lot of time to watch the news, and most people want to get their news in a capsule and have somebody tell them what somebody else said. And often you don't get it all. I did watch the news at the hearings for the auto workers in the last couple of days. Well, first let me say I'm very pleased with the article in the Oakland Press, and L. Brooks has it correct here, and I wish he was here. I'd like to thank him myself. His comments on the nuclear winter for Michigan, should the idea of bankruptcy come to pass, that would be very difficult for everybody who lives in this state, certainly, and in our community and in our county. We have 750,000 retirees. The largest number of retirees live in Oakland County. There are 732,000 workers for the auto industry in our country. 740,000 people working dealerships that sell the products for the U.S. autos. So it's a lot of people that are impacted. While watching the hearings, I recognized, because I'm aware of the agreements, and I was a part of negotiating agreements as the international staff, that the fellow at the end with the bow tie, the doctor, the professor out of Maryland, he presented numbers that everybody looked at him and didn't know what he was talking about, and here he was called to be the specialist for us. And I perceived, when I look at it, that what he has done is he has picked up an old agreement that the UAW-GM had bargained that contained things that are no longer there. Things like, he didn't have the agreement that said we have cut the employees' pay by 50% at UAW, GM, Ford, and Chrysler. We have taken them from a defined pension program to a 401k. We've outsourced all the non-value-added labor, pretty much all of it, to other folks. So we're just a core business assembling and manufacturing parts and building automobiles now. Things that they say we need to get rid of aren't there any longer. So when they start talking about numbers, you can be very careful, because the only numbers that are left, there's my pension, for example, and my health care. And our health care would not be there today with GM. Could the government work faster on Aviva? If that was transferred, that transferred all our health care to an employee-based health care program that we manage ourselves at the UAW. But it takes 2 years. That's why it doesn't happen until 2010. It takes that long for that to get done. Every person here is impacted, all of us. I mean, we bought our club here. We've got retirees from the UAW. We have people that work in the stores. We have people that work in our gas stations, people that make other parts, people that sell us items, retail, malls. Just everything in our community is impacted by the auto industry, and the failure of it would be devastating to us all, including you folks, I'm sure. And we do appreciate them. This morning we got here, one of the folks on the your body here had a petition and prepared to go. We didn't bring that with us. We were going to ask you if you just as a body would do something for us, and we appreciate it, and it just worked out that way, and we appreciate it. I'd just like to say that I also gave Dave Coker the information from the testimony from Ron Gettelfinger, which has the correct numbers in it for you to look at, and some other statistics, just some talking point facts on the number of people and the amount of taxes we pay. And incidentally, we pay more annually in taxes than we're asking back. You all work in this business. You know that you have people from other countries coming to you saying, we'd like to start a business. Could you give us a tax break? And when, unfortunately, we come and say, would you mind giving back last year's taxes to us, and we will repay you, we have to put up with truly some scrutiny that I was very surprised at watching these hearings at. And some of the people that came with some of the anger they had against the auto industry. I was very surprised watching that. But again, that's all we're asking for, because you pay last year's taxes and give us loan our taxes back to us to keep us going. As Brooks said, again, this Oakland Press article, he's right on the money. They make the problem. The auto industry make the problem, but if you dry up credit, no business can run. Not just the auto industry, every business. Hell, our government runs on almost $4 trillion in debt. If you dry up the opportunity for that debt or for that credit, they can't even run it. None of your businesses can run it. So we're asking for that back, and we appreciate your petition and your support and this commission's support. And I haven't got a wait yet, but I generally do, because I never know when to stop. So I'll get off, and I'd like to thank you for your time. And I'd also like to say that we do also support this issue with the ballot issue with the clerk. It seems like a small price for democracy. That's about all I can say. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our list.